off here in a second. If you're do us a favor, if you're watching on YouTube, do us a solid, give us a like, throw your questions in there. Any AFC West questions you got, please throw them in. We'll be happy to answer them. Give us a like, throw those comments in, subscribe to the channel. Little things stopping you from doing it, big things popping for us when you do. So we always appreciate you. All right, well, let's get things started. We're going to go with Brian from the Injured List podcast. He's going to start us off this morning giving his percent to the bench for the AFC West Denver Broncos. Let's check them out.
The Injured List podcast percent to the bench is brought to you by NeuroGuard Plus.
All right, now over to your Denver Broncos, and we're getting things kicked off here with Bo Nix. He carries with him a 31% chance to the bench. That puts him in the moderate risk category. He had a season-ending right ankle fracture and surgery, which matters, but reports say he was already back doing individual work and expected to be ready for training camp. Despite that, though, he lands a 31% chance to the bench. Next up, RJ Harvey. We're scoring him a 36% chance to the bench. That's a moderate risk score. With limited NFL injury history, he did have a rib issue and then offseason shoulder labral surgery to that shoulder, and that gives him more risk than a clean player, but not enough NFL game loss history to push him into the higher tier. Next up is Jalen Waddle. He comes into Denver with a 35% moderate risk score. He has had recurring nicks and missed some games, but not a massive single-season injury pattern. The key point here is his history suggests moderate missed game risk, not a can't-stay-healthy, quote, profile. That's your Denver Broncos for another edition of the AFC West.
All right, there we go. Thank you, Brian. Go follow Brian at the Injured List podcast. Let's welcome in our guests. First, Corey from the West War Room Rivals. Welcome in, my friend.
Thanks for having me, guys. Really appreciate it.
Appreciate you being here. I just want to let you know something, too. As a long-time, dedicated, America's team Miami Dolphins fan, I'm just letting you know up front, if you've been watching the World Cup and watching these guys flop around, just wait till you see Waddle on the field. You're going to think he's injured, he's done for the season, and then two snaps later, he's back in the game. Happens every damn game, it seems like. I'm just giving you some warning up front anyway. All right, let's welcome in Lamar. Wildcard Mar, welcome in, my friend.
Man, what's happening, man? Pleasure to be here, man. Representing Arrowhead T podcast, man. Representing that Chiefs Kingdom, a pleasure. Man, appreciate y'all having me here, man.
Appreciate you being here this morning. I know it's early for all y'all, so I definitely appreciate it. Ethan, all the way out in Cali, welcome in, my friend. Appreciate you being here.
Hey, I appreciate being here. Thank you so much for having me.
And really quick before we get started, because I know I said I was going to do it, but here is that championship belt, the Orlando. I got that fade on, so look at that. I can't even really see it real well because I got that stupid setting on. But, man, they bling my belt out for this season. I'm super excited for that. All right, we're here to talk to AFC West, though, and it was a little bit of shake-up here and there, so let's get to it. Sit back, relax. Let's kick that summer rewind. All right, and Justin's here, of course, having breakfast, which everyone appreciates watching you chew while you're on the podcast this morning. Welcome in, Fantasy Jesus himself. We appreciate it. All right, let's God, so you got frozen already. All right, let's get to it. Let's talk about the off season for these teams. Let's go ahead and start with those Kansas City Chiefs, Lamar. Talk about your off season as far as free agency goes. And of course the draft as well. What'd you think of what you guys did? And give yourselves a grade for the offseason and for free agency and the draft.
No doubt. But before I do that, Coop, I love your belt. That was a nice belt. So I up you one up and I double back with you with the Super Bowl, championship belt. The other teams in the AFC West don't got nothing that look like that, but it's okay.
Lamar, to be fair though, listen. This is all I got. I'm a Dolphins fan. This is all I got. It's my fantasy team. That's all I get, bro. So come on, man.
That belt is sharp. That belt is sharp, Coop. But no, Chiefs offseason, man. To give it a grade, I'll probably give it like a B, just a regular B. I thought they did what they needed to do, necessary. Obviously, we need a running game. They addressed it pretty much immediately once free agency happened. I mean, Kenneth Walker still was smelling like champagne and Super Bowl parade by the time they even finished that contract. So, I obviously I love that move. You know, you get the best running back available that wasn't named Jeremiah Love, because there was no way the NFL was going to let Jeremiah Love get to Kansas City at pick 9. So we knew what it was. Draft outside of that, obviously went very defensive heavy. So I'm proud of that. Defense still wins championships. Love the draft. My draft pick is R. Mason Thomas. Just legit speed rusher off the edge, which we haven't had that in a minute in Kansas City. It's just a legit speed rusher that's just going to get after the quarterback. So I'm excited about that. I know a lot of people are going to be excited about Mansour Delane. I'm cool with getting a cornerback at 6. It is what it is. I mean, you got to replace Trent McDuffie, an all-pro corner, so it makes sense. You know, whatever. You know what? My first initial pick, but it's all good. But there's really not probably the only thing I didn't like that the Chiefs didn't do in the offseason. I wish they could have kind of given me a sense of comfort when it comes to this wide receiver room. I got a knucklehead named Rashee Rice, whose knee only appears to seem fine when he's running away from the media after leaving jail. I got a guy in Xavier Worthy who has a lot of speed but don't know where the hell he's at on the field. So we still got to work on that. Past that, I got a whole bunch of question marks. So I wish we could have done a little bit more to shore up the wide receiver room in Kansas City. But yeah, solid B. Very just went after things that they necessarily need to, you know, get back in the Super Bowl championship picture and hopefully no more 6-11 seasons. That was dreadful last season. So she's been pretty solid in my opinion.
Certainly a good way to start. What'd you say, Ethan? Sorry, I interrupted you.
For you, one bad year.
I know, right? Poor Lamar. Like, oh, we all.
Hey,
look, I feel so sorry for you.
We got two fucking pitiful dynasties here. We got a Patriots fan and we got a Chiefs fan. Oh, woe is me. Oh, we've had a bad year. Oh my God. Oh.
And you got some stereotypes,
Hey, don't hate the player, hate the game. Fact of the matter is, before we got Patrick Mahomes, we did a lot of losing around here. So I've seen a lot of losing around here, right? So now that we've been switched up from Whoppers to caviar, I like my caviar now, right? So I need Andy Reid, Patrick, and Brent Veach, the GM, and the owner Clark Hunt to keep feeding me caviar because that's what you've been giving me for the last 10 years. So when you get me back to Whopper last year, oh yeah, I was a little mad that you went from my caviar back to Whopper for 1 year. You are absolutely right, my guy. I'm absolutely sour about that shit. Absolutely.
Love it. I mean, you certainly made a big splash with Kenneth Walker, bro. I mean, that's all I got to say about that. It was definitely what the Chiefs needed. And Sunshine to Sunset, I don't know what the fuck you think you're watching, but this is football, bro. I mean, I know I got a tank top on, but I don't be hitting the gym. So there you go. All right, let's go to our next guy.
Boxing for sure.
Yeah, okay, there you go. See, Justin's chiming in as he's chewing on fucking cereal. Like, you know, it's one thing you're on a podcast and you got like a muffin or you take a little bite or something. This guy's full on with his sloppy chin milk. Ethan, welcome in, my friend. Let's talk about those Chargers. Give me a grade of their offseason, free agency, and the draft. What'd you think?
Yeah, I think the Chargers had a very good offseason for what they needed to do. I think a lot of people thought they'd be big fix hunters because they had so much money going into free agency. But ultimately, they didn't need to make those moves. And they did it by much smaller moves, but a lot of them. And that's kind of how Joe Ortiz has acted this pretty much since he took over, is it's all small bites of the apple. So they have a ton of depth. So I would give the Chargers a B+. Reason I do so is their biggest need going into the offseason was offensive line. It looked in free agency. They weren't really going to address it. They signed a center, which helps. They got Tyler Biadasz, who will help the Mike McDaniel scheme a lot. I mean, if we're talking about offseason, I guess I should start there. The biggest move of the offseason is Mike McDaniels. Whether you want to admit it or not, you essentially got a second head coach, one of the top 5 offensive minds in the sport right now.
Fair.
And now you're putting Justin Herbert into a Mike McDaniels offense. And so going into the offseason, you had to build an offense around him, and you really have to build it not off premium talent because he's only going to stay a year or two. So you really can't transform your offense too much. So Joe Ortiz was under some restrictions here. And so, so he went in with the offensive line. He made a couple moves. So he got Tyler Biadasz, and then he drafted 4 offensive linemen in the draft. They had 8 picks. He used 4 of them. Most notable is Jake Slaughter in the second round, who is a center who they're going to be moving to guard. If anyone sees anything coming out of camp, I can pretty much guarantee you Jake Slaughter is going to start at guard. There's no way they spend a second-round pick on a backup center. They have other bodies there, but it's ultimately going to go down to the draft capital. And then on defense, we have a new defensive coordinator, so no Jesse Minter. We brought back Chris O'Leary, who was the defensive coordinator for 1 year at Western Michigan. And then we lost Odafe Owe. So Odafe Owe, really good player we traded for from the Ravens mid-season. He ends up leaving in free agency on a 4-year, $100 million deal. So the Chargers obviously had an edge rusher opening, and so they went and got Akeem Mesidor in the first round. Akeem Mesidor is a powerful rusher. Everyone talks about his age, but if you remove the age, he's a top 10 player in the draft. The problem is he's 25 years old, but the Chargers are in a window right now of where they need to win now. And so taking a player like that to add to Khalil Mack and Tuli Tuipulotu is just going to make your defense so much stronger. So I think those 3 key additions are really what helps solidify the Chargers offseason because they're a really, really deep team. Like over on our show, we've been previewing all the position groups across the AFC West, and it's hard not to put the Chargers at either 2 or 3 in every single category because every single room is so deep. Now, they don't have the premium talent, which is what we talk about when we get to fantasy, is the premium talent is kind of lacking there. They're not number 1 in pretty much any category within the division, but they're pretty much solidly 2 and 3 in every single one, which means it's a super deep roster.
Yeah, I mean, the Chargers look good, bro. And like Mike McDaniels, like you said, that's probably like one of the biggest additions to that offense, to that team, but of course to the offense. I felt like Mike McDaniels, however, I'll just say this as a Dolphin fan. And again, he's scheming it up so he could get to get the ball out of there quickly. But I felt like what made them really good was a lot of the motion and stuff that they did. And that kind of went away as things. Now, I don't know if that was just because teams were catching up to it or what it was. But I felt like they needed to get back to it. But, and again, Mike, you said it, Mike McDaniels, great offensive mind. Now he doesn't have to worry about getting the ball out so quickly. So it'll be really interesting to see how he utilizes all that talent on LA because they do have some good skill position players as well. So it'll be fun to watch. All right, let's go to Corey. Let's hear about those Denver Broncos. Give me a grade for their offseason with free agency and the draft.
Yeah, so I mean, it was pretty obvious that Broncos kind of had a game plan going into free agency by the lack of moves. They're just bringing their own guys back. Obviously, you let JFM go to the Tennessee Titans, which I get it. Denver wasn't going to give him what the Titans were, and hats off to him. He earned that contract. It sucks because I really wanted them to extend him before last season when they did Zach Allen too to try to keep the whole group together. But it's a business. You got to let some guys go. And luckily, Denver's D tackles outside of the run game, but the D tackles, Zach Allen, DJ Jones, Malcolm Roach, those guys. So it's a little deep in certain spots. So hopefully the JFM departure doesn't really affect the D-line as much as some think it might. Now, as far as like the grade of the offseason, it's a B-. You still landed Jalen Waddle. You bring your whole group back. You bring the band back. But you needed to address certain positions. I actually had linebackers a bigger need in the offseason than a wide receiver, but we're running it back with Alex Singleton and Justin Strnad. Dre Greenlaw, obviously, that project didn't work too well. I thought they gave up on that one a little too quick. I thought maybe give him one more go around with it, but the money that you save by getting rid of him and him going back to San Francisco was kind of, you kind of see why. I had higher hopes for him. I thought they'd used him correctly, last year, not so much in the beginning part of the season. And it seemed like he was coming on strong there towards the end before that suspension when he bumped into the official after the game. Then you look at the draft, it is not what we thought. There was a couple players out there that I thought they passed up on that they kind of hurt. But, Jonah Coleman, I think, is going to be, not this year, but going forward, him and RJ Harvey, that could be a good one too. With JK back, obviously, we'll see what happens with the whole injury bug with him. I'm hoping this is the one time in his career that he decides he wants to put a full season in, because we saw what he was able to do with Sean Payton being a top 5 runner before that injury derailed. But he was well on his way to having, I think, 1,400 yards in that system. So if he can stay healthy, look out, because I think that's still going to help Bo Nix the most, is getting that running game back on track. So I think with the 3 running backs, RJ is obviously going into his second year, so we're going to have to look at him becoming a better runner. But him as a pass catcher out of the backfield was really a really good weapon in that. And then obviously Sean's handing over the play calling duties to Davis Webb, which I think him and Bo Nix are going to be fine, because we know the relationship between he and Bo. And then we look at the draft. It's not sexy. It's not, they got their guys that they want. And I think that's what we talked about a lot on our show, was you didn't see a lot of the, this wasn't like the full on elite draft with just a bunch of first round talents. There's just good players throughout. And I think teams realized this. So teams were getting their guys. They weren't looking necessarily best available at certain spots. It's, we saw a lot of reaches, but to us, they're reaches, but to the teams, they're not, because those are our guys and they're going to come in and they're going to establish things right away. So I'm looking for Justin Joly, the tight end. I looked for him to possibly come in and be an impact. I think him and Evan Ingram, we'll see what happens with Evan Ingram in year 2 with this scheme. Hopefully a nice bounce back with everything. And again, the Jalen Waddle addition, that you're going to hear me talk about that one a lot. That's just going to open up the offense that much more. Cortland Sutton was obviously the only 1,000-yard receiver in the AFC West last year, which shows how bad the AFC West receiver rooms kind of are. We're not going to sit here and sugarcoat it. The AFC West receivers they're not it. So we'll see. But yeah, a B-. And again, I know Bronco fans were freaking out with the lack of moves, but I caution them in saying, hey, they trust this roster. It is a very dangerous game of what they're doing by trying to run it back and not adding more. We've seen in other sports and other teams that try to do the same thing. It doesn't necessarily work out and pan out, but I trust his staff. I do still trust Sean Payton as a head coach. George Payton, the GM's done, really well over the last couple of seasons. There was a time where people were like, get George the hell out of here. But I think he's kind of bounced back with some of the things that he's done, and especially with this Jalen Waddle move. So my prediction, I had the ceiling at 13 wins. I think they could do it. The schedule is absolutely brutal. I'm pumped about the NFC West matchups. I think this is going to be some really good football between these teams, and then whatever the Raiders decide to do, which, yay. But yeah, so 13 wins. If I had to predict and give you an exact record right now, I'd say probably 12-6.
So, first couple things that you had said. First, real quick, Kevin Wilson wanted to chime in on the thing earlier. The professor of Belly Up Sports says there's no more excuses for Herbert. He needs to excel. I like that. He also wanted to chime in and say, don't be surprised if Coleman is the lead Broncos running back at season's end. I mean, listen, RJ Harvey, we thought that he was going to be the second coming, new good young back, and he kind of struggled a little bit, plus with injuries as well. So yeah, and we all know the history of J.K. Dobbins. If you ever watch my show, I'm always, because the fantasy community was all on his balls for I don't know how many years, and so I said it then, bro. Like, this guy is injured. Like, why are we ranking him so high? But to your point, Corey, he was on his way. Once if he stayed healthy last season, he was certainly doing good things. So with Sean Payton. So anyway. So to your point, though, the Broncos, you said earlier that the Broncos, that people weren't excited about going after a lot of people. But look, you guys if Bo Nix doesn't get hurt, we might be talking about them in the Super Bowl. No offense, LeDuc, but, you guys were there. Right there with it, and I was so disappointed for you guys, because God, I hate the Patriots. But would have loved to see Bo Nix as my one of my fantasy QBs doing some good things. So yeah, I agree with you. There's no reason to get overexcited about or get crazy about what they didn't do in the offseason because they didn't need to do much anyway, and they got their guys like you mentioned. So could be big things coming for Denver this season. All right, so I guess I'll talk about the Raiders for a second. If my co-hosts want to chime, if my co-hosts or any guys want to chime in, that's cool. But listen, the bottom line was for the Raiders, they have holes on each side of the football. We know the big thing with Max Crosby during the offseason, that was kind of crazy. And then of course, signing Kirk Cousins as a backup for their eventual successor, which would be Fernando Mendoza. They shored up their offensive line a little bit better this season. So I expect at least offensively the Raiders to be a little bit better, and maybe a little bit better now on the defense since Max Crosby's back home. I don't think if I'm going to give the Raiders anything, it would probably be like a B- somewhere in there. But they didn't go out to me and get anything crazy, but they also, didn't lose a lot neither. But they do need to make some improvements. And obviously the QB position was where it needed to start, and they did address that. So we'll see what the Raiders do this season. But, I think we're all kind of in the same boat. It looks like they're going to be the bottom of the barrel as far as the AFC West is concerned. What do you think, LeDuc?
So as a non-Raider fan looking from the outside in, I actually think this is one of the smarter off seasons the Raiders have ever had. I feel like they actually paid attention to what they needed. Like they did fill those holes. They still have holes, but they at least took the first steps forward. So I still think that we're still looking at maybe a 4-win team here at best. But they're at least on the right track moving forward. And if Mendoza turns out to be the guy that they want him to be, there could be a bright future a few years down the road here. But they're, for once, not trying to do it all in the first season that they try to make some changes. And I just think it's a nice departure from what we typically see from the Raiders. So it's not going to happen this year. I'm not expecting much this year, but the steps they took, I think, are finally the right ones.
Justin, you want to chime in? I see you over there pointing. You got something to say?
Yeah, this is crazy. So they went out and they shored up their linebackers. Nakobe Dean's a really good linebacker. Quay Walker's a good coverage linebacker. They go out and they get this kid Crawford, who's kind of like he's a talent. He's more of an athlete than a guy that produced in college, but he's going to be off the edge. They went out, they got their quarterback of the future. They have the quarterback to guide them into this season. And then they still got Ashton Genty. And guess what? The best part is they've got a good head coach now. So I'm going to say this, and I might hurt somebody's feelings here. The Raiders are not going to be fourth. They're going to be third, which means one of you guys is going to suck harder than the Raiders this year.
Whoa, shots fired on July 5th. Goodness me.
And as much as I want to say it's the Chiefs, it'll most likely be the Chargers. Because I got no faith that Justin Herbert is taking those extra steps home, because I just don't know. He cannot put it together, and this team, it's too fragile. Like last year, it was a little too fragile. Your two tackles go out, and it's like the ship completely goes right into the ground.
Want to make Ethan wake up all the animals of the forest.
I was literally about to say. Go ahead.
I can respond. First of all, the first 2 years under Harbaugh, they've had 11 wins in each season. They have not lost to the Broncos since Jim Harbaugh has taken over, or the Raiders.
Well, they did actually lose to the Broncos.
That's true. The last week 18 game.
You've already lost.
Yeah, where they? Oh, you're so right. You've got me. Also fragile. They lost both tackles. Yeah, every team would fall like a sinking ship when you lose both of your starting tackles. There's no team in the league that can survive that unless if your offensive line was already terrible. I don't mean. And then Justin Herbert, he hasn't won in the playoffs, and you can say that, but everyone says he's if man because he's great in the regular season. So why are you equating that he's going to play bad in the regular season when he has a better offensive coordinator going into next year and a better offensive line and better skill positions?
I would not call McDaniels a better coordinator than Clint Kubiak.
He's a hater. Don't listen to him, Ethan.
Greg Roman.
Anyways, the hot topic
we're going from Greg Roman to Mike McDaniels.
I'm just going to say, Justin, don't forget that it's like 6 a.m. for these guys, so please stop pissing them off. Let's go.
Oh, come on. Wake up. Jesus. Oh,
Yes.
I think my argument
it's
to
like
that
you
would
guys didn't
be,
even party last night. You got to rally. Get a michelada going. Come on, dog.
Hey, fellas,
I think the only argument that you have with this is Clint Kubiak's been an OC throughout. He's never been a head coach before. The Raiders aren't a very well-ran organization until proven otherwise. So, yeah, I mean, we can sit here and say they won the offseason on paper, but they're still the Raiders until Clint Kubiak can show us that he's actually, capable of being a head coach and getting the whole ship, not just the offense. I mean, we can sit here and Fernando Mendoza hasn't played a snap and people are already, cupping. Let's settle down on this. Kirk Cousins doesn't scare anybody in our division. I can promise you that. So again, until Clint Kubiak shows me that he can be a head coach, yeah, you can be the greatest offensive coordinator in the world. We've seen coordinators fail as head coaches. This isn't the second coming of Sean McVay that everyone's wanting to act like. So until he can show us otherwise, guys, it's still the Las Vegas Raiders at the end of the day.
That's why 4 wins max, but in reality, it's probably 2. I just didn't want to.
No, I'm going to go on this one. I'm going to say 7 wins.
Oh my
7
Lord.
wins. 7 wins.
Yeah.
They got one of the worst schedules. Got a last place schedule, and I really do think they're going to surprise people on defense. Like,
Bro,
listen, I've been made a liar on the show plenty of times, but it ain't going to fucking stop me. It ain't going to stop me from putting out bombastic takes. I'll be your Stephen A. Smith. I don't mind. I don't care. And there's no offense to the Chargers. I actually used to like the Chargers and Justin Herbert until I realized he becomes Dak Prescott in the playoffs.
Lamar, what you wanted to chime in? What were you going to say, sir?
No, it's gonna sound crazy, but I might be on the same bus with my man Justin. Like, the Raiders got some defense going, bro. Like, we gotta understand, defense still matters, and they addressed when they made that trade to get that nickel corner Teron Johnson from Buffalo. I'm like, oh, okay. And then they, like you said, Quay Walker is a solid linebacker. Nakobe Dean's a solid linebacker. So they went pretty defensive heavy this whole offseason, and that matters. So we can't poo-poo on that for real, because that defense was trash, and they had to address it. They addressed it. Now, my man Andrew, this looks a little familiar. Your man Tom Brady probably just ain't sitting around no more on his keister no more, because he's starting to actually make the Raiders look somewhat competent right now, and we can all attest that we know how incompetent the franchise has been for so long. They're actually making competent moves. So I think Tom Brady is no longer sitting on his keister, like watching his investment just go down the drain. Like, he's like, nah, enough of this. Like, Justin, you're not crazy, bro. I don't know about 7. It's tough, because it's like, I think a lot of teams in the AFC West, what scares me about Denver, yes, you made the Waddle trade, but like you said, you re-signed a lot of people. Obviously, you had the draft. Did you do enough? Because it's gonna get tough.
Jason Denver was right there. They kind of got unlucky with
Playing
those
defense
injuries.
is cool. Playing defense is cool, but we also seen Jekyll and Hyde Bo Nix. What you gonna get today, huh? You rolled a dice. What you gonna get with Bo today? So there was times that Bo did look like a competent quarterback. Like, he playing some ball, and then sometimes you like, I see why you couldn't make it at Auburn, and then you kind of fizzled out whatever you did at Oregon. Okay, that's the Bo Nix I see. So it's kind of like, I don't know which one I'm gonna get.
If it's Jekyll and Hyde for Bo Nix, I like the reference, because it's usually a first half to second half type thing, where the first half you see him struggle, but in the second half, Bo Nix shows the hell up and puts them right in the mix. Kevin Wilson wanted to say, too, the Raiders' best move was getting rid of Carroll. I'm kind of like that. And, yeah, it's funny, Kevin, because I was going to say that. I think Justin had cracked Cheerios this morning talking about those Raiders. One thing before we're going to move on, but before I do, I just want to say this.
I want to say this real quick.
Hold on, I'll let you say in a second, but I keep hearing strength of schedule. please get that word out your mouth, because it is the dumbest stat that I feel as far as the NFL is concerned, because you're talking about teams later on in the season. You don't know about what injuries, you don't know how they're going to show up this season. I think strength of schedule is the dumbest thing ever, quite frankly. But now last year it proved me wrong with Patriots, but what am I going to say about that?
You just ruined your freaking argument.
I know I did. It's just one team, one example. I gave one example last year. That was it.
The entire season we were injured. We had the second worst strength, or the second best strength of schedule. We made it to the playoffs and won a playoff game. It does matter.
That's great.
And also, I predicted the Bears.
It fluctuates throughout the whole season. So, like your strength of schedule, you can never stick with the strength of schedule before preseason and stick with that same concept throughout the season. Like the shit fluctuates. Because teams, like you said, there's injuries. There's going to be some
weather
better. There's been so much parity over the last few years. You can never stick with the strength of schedule that the NFL first released.
Thank you, Lamar. Appreciate that. Good backup there. All right, let's get to Brian real quick before we get to our next segment. Talking about those Raiders. Let's hear Brian's percent to the bench for those Raiders.
The Injured List Podcast Percent to the Bench is brought to you by NeuroGuard Plus.
All right, we're heading out to Vegas to discuss the Vegas Raiders, and we're going to kick it off with Brock Bowers. He's carrying with him a 42% chance to the bench. That's a moderate high-risk score. Last season, his knee PCL injury and bone bruise issue caused him to miss time and gave him a finish on the IR, though he later said he was 100% healthy. He's a young player, but the knee history raises the number. Next up is their running back, Ashton Genty. He's carrying with him a 28% chance to the bench. That's a low to moderate risk. Now, with a clean NFL injury profile so far, I still would not put him in extremely low, because running backs do take repeated contact and have been injured quite a bit the past few years in this league. But strictly from an NFL injury history, he is one of the cleaner players on this list. Next up is wily veteran Kirk Cousins. He's carrying with him a 32% moderate score risk to the bench, and I think that's actually very, very generous of me. The age and the 2023 Achilles tear raised the risk, but his overall NFL career has been fairly durable for a quarterback. His risk is more age, major injury appropriate than repeated soft tissue recurrence. Despite that, though, he's carrying a 32% risk to the bench. That is your Las Vegas Raiders. Back to the commissioner.
Thank you, Brian. We appreciate you. All right, let's get into the season. We're going to talk about some fantasy relevant players, and we'll see how we predict how these teams are going to finish. Let's see.
Great Scott! These idiots from TSS Fantasy are making predictions without the Sports Almanac again!
Season prediction time. Let's go the opposite end. We'll go to Corey first. Talk about Bronco players who you think might excel in fantasy this year, and then give me prediction on the team's outcome, my friend.
Yeah, so with the Broncos, I'm going to look, and I know this isn't going to be the sexy. I mean, you can obviously say Jalen Waddle and all those fun stuff, but I actually look at Evan Ingram because I think he's not going to be, one of those first round, like he's not one of your top 10 tight ends, right? So he's going to be one of those guys that you can look at later on in the draft. If you're like me and like, shit, I forgot to get a tight end, you can look at someone like Evan Ingram. I think, we saw the spurts, like it came in, waves last year. He was very inconsistent with Sean Payton and calling the plays, but now you have Davis Webb, who, again, Jalen Waddle's going to open this offense up. So now you're going to have Evan Ingram, who's going to be, that middle of the field intermediate guy. So I'm looking at Evan Ingram. And then I'm looking at RJ Harvey if you're in a PPR, because we saw what he was able to do as a pass catcher last year. So if you're looking for a running back who can, and obviously the touchdown factor last year with 10 touchdowns, I believe. So those two guys are kind of the ones that I'm paying attention to, because those are later, the later round guys. They're not going to be your sexy first, second round picks. You can look later into, maybe in that 7, 8, 9 round range as far as that goes.
I like it. Sorry, my bad. I thought you were still going. I was looking at Justin needed the quiz answers, so my bad. I was trying to do that. But yeah, I like that a lot, actually. I'm glad you brought up Evan Ingram because this particular season, as far as fantasy concerned, if fantasy is concerned, it's kind of deep at tight end. So you can do, I usually traditionally, I've never changed my trend. It's always running back heavy for me. And then I kind of go over there, and then I'll kind of find what I need after that. But I like that you brought that up for sure. Evan Ingram certainly is. And I apologize if I missed it. Where do you think the Broncos were going to finish?
Oh, are you talking about like the overall team?
Yeah, the overall team record. What do you think?
Yeah, again, I'm going to still sit here on 12-6, and I think Denver. And no offense to the Raiders or Chiefs, but I think it's Broncos Chargers this year. I think, again, we can sit here and say the Chargers lack thereof or what we think of Justin Herbert, but let's follow trends here. Regular season, Justin Herbert's fine. And again, I still think Denver and Chargers are 1-2, but give me Denver 12-6 and probably your AFC West champs.
I just realized that there. All right, let's go, Ethan, my friend. I know that was dumb. The computer Ethan, I know the computer's dying there, so let's get to you. What do you think, my friend? Give me an outcome. What you think of the the Chargers? Their outlook as far as fantasy, and then of course give me a season prediction for them.
Yeah, I mean, I'll start at the top. I mean, your biggest first round pick is probably going to be Amarian Hampton, and Amarian Hampton deserves all of the hype. He's behind Joe Alt and Rashawn Slater again, plus he has Mike McDaniels now calling the run game for him. So if you don't know, the Chargers before were playing a very zone heavy scheme. Now they're moving to a power gap scheme on their offensive line. So it'll be easier to move throughout. And so using those athletic tackles, they're going to get Amarian Hampton out in space a lot. Now, if you're looking for a game to point to, like, why could this guy be the next best running back, go look at the Giants game week 4 last year before he broke his ankle. That's where you really start to see him emerge. You saw the speed on full display, you saw the power on full display, and what kind of player he could be. Now, once you get into the second round, Ladd McConkey's probably your next guy. ADP right now, he's like a 3rd round pick. Depends on if you're playing PPR or standard, because Ladd in a Mike McDaniels offense is going to be a PPR monster. Now, the yards might not be there, the touchdowns might not be there, but the catch volume is going to be there, because as he alluded to earlier, Mike McDaniels invented what's called the orbit motion. So the orbit motion was used a lot in Canadian football, of where you bring it across and you orbit them so that they're running as the snap goes and they're still behind that last foot of your X receiver. And that's going to be Ladd running the orbit motion pretty much, I would guess, almost every single play. Mike McDaniel ran it his first 2 years for the Dolphins on 91% of pass plays. The last 2 years, as he alluded to, he went away from it. This can be for a multitude of reasons. I think Devon Achane probably has some say in that, because Devon Achane is such an explosive player that they needed the ability to also get him the ball out, because orbit motion, that's where the play has to go, because it's where all the attention is dragged. The whole point is that you're opening up matchups. So Ladd, a lot of people are saying he's overrated. I don't know if he's going to be overrated in ADP, because I think it depends on what format you're playing in, just because I think he's going to be really, really good in PPR. But standard, I would probably stay away from Ladd. And then moving forward, probably my biggest pound the table guy that everyone should draft is actually Quentin Johnston. I think Quentin Johnston is going to be very, very good. Every single year in the league, he's gotten better and better. And last year, as you guys would know as fantasy guys, through the first 4 years, or through the first 4 games, he was on track for 1,400 yards before he got hurt, before Greg Roman got in the way, before the offensive line got hurt. QJ is one of those players that Charger fans hate, but it seems like the rest of the league is actually higher on than actual Charger fans, because I think they have the sting of his rookie year. I personally think he's a good player, and I think he's only going to get better with Mike McDaniels. And I think he's going to have your explosive playability because he's had it so far. I think he's going to be getting down the field more often. I think they're going to be giving him yak opportunities. I think one thing Mike McDaniel does really well is when he orbits over that motion, he always runs a slant or a post over the top. And that's going to be QJ, who's going to be open in the middle of the field, because he can absorb that powerful talent. He can run after the catch. Plus, I mean, they also have really good tight ends the Chargers tight ends across the board. And so I think it'll just open up all of that space for QJ. So that's who I'd pound the table for. One player I'll say that I don't think is going to do as well, and I would tell people to stay away from, is actually any of the Chargers backup running backs. I would stay away from Kamani Vidal. I would stay away from Keaton Mitchell. I think they can be deep stashes on your bench. I just think Amari and Hampton is going to be a lot more of a bell cow than people realize. And Keaton Mitchell is pretty fragile, and I think Mike McDaniels is going to know that. And he's going to be returning kicks, so I think they're going to try to limit the snaps there. And then Vidal was good as a fab waiver pickup, but I just don't – he's going to be a running back 3 on this team next year. I think it's a deep stash if Hampton gets hurt. I just don't think the volume's going to be there.
Justin, what do you want? You want to chime in? What do you think? And give us some fantasy analysis for the Chargers.
Oh no, I mean I don't have to give up any analysis. I think that was good analysis. I was just going to ask, where do you think Brendan Thompson's 5'9" ass fits in the situation? Considering Ladd seems to have slot pretty locked down, but he has the 4.3 speed. So, but he's not really the size that you want to be attacking out on the perimeter.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good question. I mean, the thing isn't like, I guess I'll talk on Ladd first. Ladd is also very sneaky fast. I mean, he ran a 4.39. He has plenty of speed as well on his own. He's super shifty. But yeah, you're right. Where is the fit here? Because Trey Harris is probably going to be that third receiver.
Right.
And so I think Brendan Thompson, I think it's going to be a mismatch. I think they're going to run a lot more 4 wide receiver fit sets, to be honest. I think year one, Brendan Thompson he's probably somebody you shouldn't draft unless if you're like round 3 in like rookie dynasty drafts, because I think it's something you kind of have to wait for to see, because he's the Mike McDaniels prototypical receiver. He's short. Right. He was the fastest player in the draft. He ran a 4.26. He's blazing. When you watch his tape, he played on the outside, actually only at why am I blanking on what school he was at? Texas A&M.
He was everywhere. He was at Mississippi State.
Mississippi State. Yeah, at Mississippi State, he only ran out of the slot on 30% of snaps. So outside, that's where he was playing in college primarily, but the NFL is a lot different. Right. And so I think it's one of those things we have to see, because like, honestly, like people are like, QJ is going to be the X receiver. I don't know that. He might be the backside Y, and Ladd might be playing a lot more on the outside because he did last year when Keenan was here. I mean, we had Keenan primarily in the slot. I think he ended up playing like 65% of snaps in the slot, and Ladd was outside everywhere else. And so I think it's definitely going to be a mix and match, but it's hard to know when we don't know what Mike McDaniels looks like yet with the Chargers, because he looked different with the Dolphins than when he looked with the San Francisco 49ers. And then when he looked with the Falcons before that, he's looked different in all of these different spots, but the primary legs are there. That's why I'd say, like, I think it's difficult with Brendan Thompson. He would be a not draft for me, to be honest. He's one of those I would wait on.
It's going to be interesting as far as the tight ends go, too, with the addition of Njoku. Does Gatson, is he a big pass catcher in this offense, or they end up using both guys? So that'll be interesting to see as well. So there's a lot of interesting things going into the season. Looks like we said, where's the fucking Raiders fans at? They're still waking. It's Vegas. They're still waking up, apparently. So there you go. All right, Lamar, what do you think of them Chiefs? Give me some fantasy outlook for you boys, and give me a season prediction.
No, look, my picks won't be sexy. The crazy thing about the Chiefs when it comes to fantasy, obviously, the number one guy has always been Patrick Mahomes, but coming off an injury, you're like, whoa, I don't know. So obviously, it still would give you, caution to draft him. But at the end of the day, I'm here to let you guys know he will be starting week 1. He has attacked that injury crazy hard. The rehab has been crazy. He's insane. Literally at the injury. I mean, let's be honest. The knee was tore up before that thing even got shredded anyway. I mean, he was getting beat up, and then literally the next day was already getting sliced and diced. So the man's insane. Him and his trainer Bobby Stroop has literally just dropped every little nuggets on X and Instagram. Like, yeah, he'll be starting week 1. But with that in mind, just the low hanging fruit, just draft Kenneth Walker. Expect a heavy load of Kenneth Walker for the first few weeks of the season, because I would expect it because my man's coming off an injury. I don't want to be having Patrick Mahomes dropping back 50 times for the first few weeks. I think that would be insane, in my opinion. So let Kenneth Walker, the guy who wants to be a bell cow, who publicly admitted he hated sharing the rock in Seattle. So this is your time to let him shine in Kansas City. And to be honest, a lot of people don't give the Chiefs credit. I think they got the O-line built to run. They're like, especially in the interior. With Creed, Smith, and my man Kingsley, who's coming into his second year at left guard. I just think they're actually mentally more built to run. So let the dogs run. And so I think if they change that mindset, and let's not forget Eric Bieniemy's back in the building, who is a former running back, loves to run the ball. So let's see some influence on the offense with that for sure. So definitely just take the low hanging fruit, get Kenneth Walker. I think the totes are going to be there. I think go ahead, mark them down for an easy 1,200 yards, probably 8 touchdowns off the rip. So definitely just take the low hanging fruit. If you have to get a receiver, by default, get Rashee Rice because he's by default the number one. He'll get the targets, and so it's just hard to gauge with a Chiefs wide receivers because they really want to attack by everybody. There's never really been a true number one receiver, even though we kind of know for sure it's received, but there's never really been a number one true receiver in Kansas City, in my opinion. But so Chiefs fans can argue that another day. But those are the low hanging fruits for sure. When it comes to the overall outlook, there's some tough stretches on this Chiefs schedule, man. Obviously, they still get a lot of primetime games. That's the Mahomes effect. And that can always wear on your team mentally, physically, all that travel and all that mess. Off the top of my head, I'm saying 12-5. I know it sounds like, oh, you guys just had a 6-11 season, but I'm like, there's a lot of things that the Chiefs changed coaching staff wise. I guess they got I'll be blunt. The Chiefs got comfortable, and that's why they ended up where they were last year. All right, arrogance and comfortability. They bit them in the ass. Hey, we're the Chiefs. We'll just show up, and nah, it ain't like that no more, man. The league's sick of y'all, and they want to step on your throat and kick your face in every time they see you. They're sick of looking at that arrowhead. So it's more of a mental change that I think that happened in the building. That's why you see Eric Bieniemy coming back. He brings an attitude, a swagger, accountability. So the Chiefs were sloppy last year. So a lot of that stuff will get next too. So I'll be okay with 12-5, but AFC back. We don't be upset when we get back.
We got a KC fan in here. Says it's Cam Johnston. Says hello from KC. He said he sees 11 wins. The RB room is going to make a difference. Yeah, they hate us. And Kevin Wilson, Walker not sharing the load makes me nervous. Justin, you got your hand up like we're in class. What do you got to say?
So my question for you is one. Actually, I got 2 questions for you. Is Noah Gray getting more involved in the offense now that Mr. Swift is officially married and probably going to retire soon? And then 2, Brashard Smith or Emmett Johnson, who is more worthy of that RB2 rank? Because we all know Kenneth Walker isn't making it a full workload. He's never made it a full season without having some sort of an injury. He always has them. And even in last year, he had Charbonnet to take some of the load off. That's why he probably made it through the Super Bowl. But let's face it, he never makes it all the way through. He always got 1 or 2 games where we don't see Kenneth Walker. So who am I going to rely on? Brashard Smith, the SMU wide receiver transfer over to running back, or am I going to go with Emmett Johnson?
I'm going to be honest with you. I do like Brashard Smith, but he's in a situation where I think he might be trying to fight to actually make the roster. We also got to remember they brought in Amari DeMarcado from the Cardinals last year. And, you know, I know he got in trouble for dropping the football over and not crossing the plane, but we got to remember that the man broke out on a long run to do that. So he got some talent and he got speed. And Emmett Johnson has always been a pure running back. He led Nebraska in rushing. In college, the man was a stud. His tape is phenomenal. It's going to be tough for Brashard Smith to jump those two to get to RB2. It's just going to be tough because his whole career was at wide receiver. He's literally only played one college year at running back, and then when he got to Kansas City, they really kind of didn't really know what to do with him. So it's kind of hard for him to actually pure running backs in NFL. So I think it might be tough for him to actually, to be honest, I think they might stash him on the practice squad and let him get more development at just being a pure running back. And he probably won't see like the actual field till probably maybe late in the season when playoff position is locked up, or he might expect a lot of preseason. There you go. So that's all I got for you when it comes to Brashard Smith. I like the guy. He has talent. He's just not it's the transition of wide receiver all your life to only a couple of years at running back is tough to beat out these other guys.
Yeah, Cam's in the chat saying let's just make him another receiver at this point. So yeah, we feel you there.
Probably gadget player like they used McCole Hartman. I could probably suspect that, like some jet sweep type stuff, maybe.
All right, let's go to the Raiders. Chiefs, by the way, are going to be very interesting to watch for fantasy for sure. LeDuc, I'm going to give you the Raiders. Talk about some fantasy aspects, and where we already heard what Justin thinks are going to fucking be. Where do you think the Raiders are going to be at the end of the season?
So like I said earlier, I think the Raiders at best will have 4 wins, but in reality, I think they probably got 2 wins on the schedule. It's still just too early. They're going to be, like I said, they get the building blocks, but it's still too early for me to give them too many wins and too much of an impact on the season. Quick, I guess, fantasy aspects from this team. It's once again kind of some low-hanging fruit. The clear-cut favorites, obviously Brock Bowers, Ashton Genty. They're locks at just being absolute workloads for this team. I'd say from a wide receiver room standpoint, also somewhat low-hanging fruit, but Trey Tucker is just, I think, clearly, and this doesn't mean he's one of the best in the league by any means, but he's clearly their best wide receiver. In my opinion, obviously, you got Jalen Naylor in there who can pop every now and then. Dante Thornton, he's got some speed that you could mix in there, but I just don't think – I think this is going to be a wide receiver room that you're going to have to deal with a lot of streaky performances, and you're either going to get 0 or you might – someone's going to get 1 touchdown and all of a sudden, 9-10 points for a Raiders receiver is going to lead the day for their team. So Trey Tucker, if you really want to take a stab at him, he's got the best chance at developing something with Mendoza. I think his ADP currently right now looks to be about 62, so you can definitely get him at a discount. But I'm not looking at someone like Raheem Mostert to make any noise to push Ashton Genty further. I think it's just clear. Genty, Bowers, take a chance on Tucker. And you got to wait and see on Mendoza. I think Kirk Cousins being there helps the young guy. But it's pretty rare in the league that Mendoza is going to come out and be fantasy relevant. He'll probably be a better real life quarterback this year than he is fantasy relevant. You're on mute, Mr. Host.
Fucking great. Kevin Wilson wanted to ask, how many games does Mendoza start? So that's the big question really for the Raiders. And quite frankly, nobody really can predict that. We'll see how Kirk Cousins comes out. Of course, if he starts playing and they start losing, we're going to see Mendoza pretty quick, I think. So we'll see. That's going to be the biggest question, I think, for the Raiders in the offseason. West War Room rivals say Raiders will finish 6-11, 7-10 with all their improvements, still rebuilding to be contenders. And then we had one for Lamar here. It's from the War Room chat. They said Chiefs floor is 17 wins. Damn, that's a nice floor. That's all I got to say.
We can't speak for our other co-hosts. Like whatever Cody and Austin think. Ethan and I are just here. Like we don't condemn what they're doing over here in the chat.
Look, all I know is that those 17 wins is like a combination of regular season and postseason and Super Bowl wins. Then I'm all for it.
There you go.
And another chime in from the West War Room. They say Jalen Neal will probably be a bigger fantasy asset than Trey Tucker. I mean, who the hell knows at this point? But you may be right. Maybe right on that. Ethan, listen, we appreciate you joining us this morning. I know you got to take off because your battery's about to die and you're out in the cabin, like out here, like your family's probably, what the hell is this guy doing? So where can everyone follow, subscribe, and get all your great content, my friend?
You just follow West War Room Rivals. You don't need to follow my personal stuff. Follow the page, support our podcast. If you're looking for AFC West content, we cover the AFC West all the time. And so I'm the Chargers creator. Corey's the Broncos creator. You just heard from our Raiders and Chiefs creators who just showed up on the screen. So make sure to go follow West War Room Rivals. In fact, just click the comment that's right there. Go follow us on Instagram, X, YouTube, pretty much all platforms. We've been doing well on Facebook recently, so go follow us there as well. But yeah, thank you for having me on. I appreciate it. If you ever need a Chargers creator, always reach out.
We love it. We appreciate you. I know you just want to get out because you don't want to play in the trivia game. That's all good.
It's so true. I looked at the answers, so I know what's going to happen. So
yeah, I was a dummy on that one. All right, cool. Well, thank you so much again. Appreciate you getting up with us this morning. We're going to send him out with another Brian Scott present to the bench. We're going to talk about those LA Chargers to send him out. Let's check it out.
The Injured List podcast Percent to the Bench is brought to you by NeuroGuard Plus.
All right, we're starting off with the Chargers here in the AFC West with Ladd McConkey. We're giving him a 38% chance to the bench. That is a moderate high-risk category. Current hamstring issues raises the short-term risk. He also dealt with hip, shoulder, knee, and other nagging issues during his early NFL career, even though he generally played through them. Omarion Hampton, he's got a 45% risk to the bench. That's a high risk. His NFL sample is still small, but he already had an ankle injury, serious enough to land him on IR and designated return, and he remained on injury reports into the postseason. Justin Herbert, 24% low to moderate risk score. He historically has been very durable, but he did suffer a season-ending fractured right index finger in 2023 and dealt with a plantar fascia issue in his foot in 2024. Lower risk than most, though, because he repeatedly played through significant injuries. That's your San Diego Chargers.
Thank you once again, Brian. We appreciate you. All right, well, we talked about what was. We talked about what is. Now it's time for some fun. We got a mano-a-mano Chief versus Bronco matchup today. We're going to do the fantasy quiz show. And if you're new to the fantasy quiz show, it's basically Family Feud style. All these questions, by the way, will be in regards to the AFC West. So when I ask the question, it's when those players were only in the AFC West. When you hear those questions, so just remember that. All pertaining to your home anyway. So, and again, Family Feud style. I'm going to ask you guys a question. Whoever gets in there first will get, and it's a correct answer. It doesn't matter where it is. As long as you get one right and you're the first one to do it, you'll take control of the round. You'll have 5. Well, I think the last one has a little more, but you'll have 5 answers to get. If you don't get them and get 3 strikes, your opponent gets a chance to steal it from you. So here we go. It's time for the Fantasy Quiz Show.
It's time for the Fantasy Quiz Show.
Justin Jefferson. It's going to be a long game. Not going to be a long game today because we got AFC West experts in the house. So let's get to it. Here's our first question Remember, just shout this one out. This is for both of you. Here we go. And again, we're looking for all-time AFC West history. I'm looking for the passing yard leaders all-time in the AFC West.
John Elway.
John Elway. That is correct. John Elway is on this list. He's actually number 2 with 51,475. Okay, so here we go. Corey, it's on you. What else you got?
Let's go Trent Green.
Trent Green. Did not make the cut. 2 strikes left.
Peyton Manning.
Peyton Manning. Remember, only when they're in the AFC West, he's got 2 strikes and a lot of meat on his bone. Give me what's another one?
I mean, I guess Derek Carr's kind of up there.
Derek Carr. He is number 5 on this list, believe it or not, 35,222. So you got number 2 and number 5. What else you got?
And I guess the Chargers did have a good quarterback once, Phillip Rivers.
Phillip Rivers. Numero uno on this list, 59,271 yards. You are missing 3 and 4 with only 1 strike remaining.
Give me Ken Stabler.
Kenny Stabler.
Why?
There we go. So Lamar, you're up, bro. You got two chances. Well, you get 1 shot, but you got 2 answers you can snag here. It's the number. What did I say before? The number 3 and number 4.
It's just GOAT, man. It's Mahomes, man. He already.
Oh yeah.
Patty Mahomes.
We don't have any home positivity in this. I don't talk about Mahomes.
He snags it to steal the round. Good job, Lamar. And the one guy remaining that you missed was Danny Fouts. He's number 3 on the list with 43,040 yards. So there.
That was before Chargers had fans.
Indeed. All right, here we go for round number 2. And again, all-time AFC West history. I'm looking for the all-time rushing yard leaders.
LaDainian Tomlinson.
LaDainian Tomlinson. Numero uno on the list, 12,490. So, Lamar, you got control. What else you got?
Jamal Charles.
Jamal Charles. That is correct. Number 4 on the list, 7,556. All right, you're missing number 2, 3, and 5.
Got to be some TD on there, Terrell Davis.
Terrell Davis. Hit the salute, 7,607. He was number 3 on the list. You're missing 2 and 5.
I'm thinking Priest Holmes.
Priest Holmes. Did not make the cut. Crazy enough. All right, what else? You got 2 strikes left and 2 answers remaining.
Marcus Allen is definitely
Marcus Allen. Number 2 on this list, not very far behind LT, 12,243. All right, you are missing number 5 on this list.
Clinton Portis?
Clinton Portis did not make the cut. 1 answer and 1 strike remaining. Lamar, can you nail it?
Oh, man. This might be Larry Johnson?
Larry Johnson.
I study my ass off. I don't go out there and laugh. It's not funny. It's not fun. Nothing's funny to me. I don't want to go out there and get embarrassed.
Lamar did not make the cut. Corey, you got a chance to steal it. Can you do it?
Wow.
Yeah, can you remind me the answers again? I need
Of
number.
course. The answers were number 1, LT, number 2, Marcus Allen, number 3, Terrell Davis, and number 4, Jamar Charles. Oh, you're missing number 5.
Oh man. Yeah, give me. Yeah, this sucks because I'm just gonna say Mike Anderson.
Mike Anderson.
You're not really that stupid, are you?
Yeah, I am.
Okay.
No,
My best advice to you?
Yeah.
Shut up.
I thought it was Larry Johnson too. I'm not even gonna sit here and act like I didn't think it was Larry Johnson.
Yeah,
Lamar gets it by the War Room co-host says, "These aren't my co-hosts," is what he says. So this one was a little tricky because you guys got to remember the AFC West was a little different back in the day, and this was an old-time Seahawk. Was Chris Warren was number 5 on this list.
Really?
Yeah, he's number 5, 6,706 yards. So there you go. All right, here we go. Lamar, you're up 2-0. Corey, you got to get this one or it's lights out. It's, again, all-time AFC West history. Now I'm looking for the all-time receiving yard leaders.
Rod Smith.
Rod Smith just made the list at number 5, 11,389. When doing these things, I mean, man, the AFC West has had a lot of good receiving options over the years. So you got control, Corey. What else you got?
Travis Kelce.
Travis Kelce. Number 2 with 13,002 yards. All right, so no strikes, 3 answers left.
Travis Swift.
Taylor Swift.
Right? It's Travis.
Shannon Sharp.
Shannon Sharp did not make the cut on this one.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's crazy. Let's see. I'm not sure. Would Keenan Allen be on there? Keenan Allen?
Keenan Allen did not make the cut. You're missing number 1, 3, and 4 on this list.
Does Jerry Rice count?
Well, he did play in it. That was our 49ers producer back there. Didn't like that answer. All right, you got 1 strike left. Again, all-time AFC West passing yard leaders.
Tony Gonzalez.
Tony Gonzalez. Did not make the cut. Like I said, they got a lot of good options here. So, all right, Lamar, for the win, you got a little bit of meat on this bone. Can you snag it? We're looking for all-time AFC West leading receivers.
Definitely Antonio Gates.
Yeah.
Antonio Gates. It was a clean sweep with Lamar today. Yes, Antonio Gates, he is number 4 on this list, 11,841. The guys that you missed was number 1, Tim Brown, 14,734 yards. Yeah. And then number 3, like I mentioned earlier, a little tricky, Steve Largent, 12,384 yards. It's all-time AFC West. So there you go. The other questions were all-time interception leaders of the AFC West. That's when you started to get difficult, I think. But Deron Cherry was number 1 with 50. Dave Brown was 46. Steve Foley with 3 with 44. And then we had a 3-way tie between Eugene Robinson, Gil Byrd, and Albert Lewis with 42. And then the other last question would have been the tiebreaker, the AFC West records for the teams who has the best AFC West record. Broncos lead number 1, 493 wins, 378 losses, 6 ties. Chiefs, 466, 404, and 7. The Raiders were actually number 3 on this list, 435 to 436 and 6 ties. Chargers were number 4, 419, 453, and 5. And then Seahawks 5th, they were 186 and 204. And then don't forget, the Buccaneers were in this division way back in the day. Way back in 1976, they went 0 and 14 in the AFC West. So there you go. Big wins for the Bucks during that season. Great game, guys. We appreciate it. Lamar, congratulations. You are today's winner. Congrats. And Corey, my friend, unfortunately on TSS Fantasy, when you lose, my friend, we give you a parting gift as well. So go ahead and hit it with it, Mr. Producer.
Looks like we have our loser, or what we like to call TSS Fantasy's Dumbass of the Week.
Dumbass. Dang these. They call me dumbass. Black guy entertainment. Stupid.
Hell yeah.
Gotta love it. Gotta love it. Before we head you guys out, real quick, let's hear from Brian one last time about those Kansas City Chiefs.
The Injured List podcast Percent to the Bench is brought to you by NeuroGuard Plus.
All right, still in the AFC West, we come upon the Kansas City Chiefs. They're all pro, all-star, all-everything quarterback Patrick Mahomes finds himself coming off a major injury for one of the first times in his career. ACL, LCL ligament injury in the knee gives him a 48% chance to the bench score, which is the high-risk category. And this is the biggest concern. Even with an optimistic Week 1 target, ACL recovery is commonly around 9 months minimum, so the chance of him missing time or having a setback is very real. Up next, we have Rashee Rice. We're giving him a 55% chance to the bench, which is a very high-risk category. The highest injury concern here on this list. He has a back-to-back major availability concerns. First, a 2024 knee hamstring injury, then a 2025 IR stint, and a 2026 cleanup surgery in off-season on the same knee. This puts him in a very high-risk category. And last but not least, Kenneth Walker III. He's carrying with him a 50% high risk to the bench. Now, he's a strong runner, but he has had meaningful missed game history, especially to the lower body injuries. His 2025 durability does help, but his career pattern still puts him in the high risk tier. That's your Kansas City Chiefs and AFC West.
There it is. Appreciate you, Brian. Go follow Brian at the Injured List podcast right here on That Sports Podcast Network. But let's fill out our guests here. Lamar, before you head out, let everyone know where they can follow, subscribe, and get all your great content, my friend.
No doubt. Just go ahead to Arrowhead Chief Podcast on all social media platforms. Get as much Chiefs content your heart desires over there, and we sure do appreciate it. So yeah, y'all can catch me over there, man.
Get all the great Chiefs content. Go follow and subscribe to Lamar. Got great stuff coming out for those Kansas City Chiefs. And Corey, what say you, my friend? Where can we follow, subscribe, get all your great content?
Yeah, so as Ethan alluded to earlier, all West War Room Rivals on all the socials. So make sure West War Room Rivals, X, IG, TikTok, and YouTube as well.
Awesome. Go follow, subscribe, get Corey's great content as well. A lot of good stuff. They're covering all those AFC West teams. So, yeah, if you're an AFC West lover, make sure you go check them out. Check us out next week. We'll be coming to you live, of course, on Sunday morning. We'll be covering the AFC North. So that'll be a lot of fun. A little good stuff to talk about there. So make sure you check us out. And then, of course, when the football season begins, you can check us out every Friday night. We're going to break down all the fantasy matchups and give you our start sits there. And then wake up with us every Sunday morning at 8 a.m. We got a Sunday morning cartoon. We got Fantasy Jesus. We got it all for you on Sunday morning. So make sure you wake up with us. Get your football day started. All right, my friends, we appreciate you joining us again. Thank you guys so much for waking up so early. I know that was tough. I told the guys before the season started, I made the schedule and I should be fired because I was like, how could I put the West Coast teams early morning on July 5th? I can't believe it. But thank you guys so much for roughing it out this morning. We appreciate you. From us to you, we had a lot of fun today. We appreciate you, and we are out.